So this movie is the start of Phase 5? Wow. Hey, what's up, Nerd fam? This is your boy Gershon. I want to welcome you to Enter the Nerd. Today, we're going to be talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, or Ant-Man 3, whatever you want to call it. Before we go on, I will say there are going to be some spoilers in case, you wanted to see it. If you don't care, whatever. I don't think it's really worth your time or your money, but whatever, we're going to be talking about it here. And if you do like it, make sure you like and subscribe so you can see some more content from this channel. All right, where do we start here? First and foremost, I'm going to say I'm not surprised. I didn't really enjoy the first Ant-Man, and I definitely didn't enjoy the second. So did I really come in here with the illusion that it was going to be good? No, I haven't when it comes to a lot of the MCU for a while, really any of the last phase either. Which is very sad, obviously, because there's so much potential with all the characters that are involved in Marvel. But obviously, this is not a character-first universe, right? It hasn't been for a very long time. If ever, some people can actually argue, right? But this was pretty disturbing just because this was supposed to be the start of a brand new phase. We're supposed to be very interested in what's going on here. The introduction of Kang and so on and so forth. And I think in another universe, no pun intended, this could have been really, really good if they actually knew about the characters and the phase before this actually meant something. But it didn't, unfortunately. So what went wrong with Ant-Man? I mean, even before we get into the movie, it's always been very confusing to me that they went with Scott Lang first before Hank Pym. And obviously Hank Pym is in the universe. He is obviously older and they kind of had his story already happen, but not in the way that it should have happened. He had nothing really to do with Ultron and so on and so forth, which I feel like was a huge miss for people who have never read the comic and don't know the history with Hank and Janet, right? Especially, what the Pym particles do to his brain, him, kind of going crazy and becoming YELLOWJACKET, even becoming an abuser a little bit. And that was actually kind of cool, like his redemption arc from not just that, but even what was going on when he created Ultron. But he kind of got cheated out of that, and it was given to Tony for some reason, and Tony didn't need that. Tony had plenty of things to draw from in the comic, but they love doing an amalgamation of characters. It's just a big thing. And I know a lot of people who've never read the comic might go, it's not a big deal. However, when you start combining and making these type of characters, you start taking away key parts of multiple characters. That's just my opinion. Of course, I do favor the source material. It doesn't have to be one-to-one, but they did just kind of like jump over to Scott Lang, even though they were kind of contemporaries. Like Hank was still around when Scott Lang was doing stuff. You know what I mean? And obviously the whole Bill Foster thing, and they could have done Civil War differently, whatever. But that's me beating a dead horse. If I'm being honest, it's very simple. This movie was not very good. Even I remember being in a movie theater and someone literally at the end of it goes, "This was ass." Literally, somebody does that. And they weren't wrong. This movie was ass, right? But why? Story, number one. The writing was rather terrible. So whether you're talking about Janet Van Dyne, Michelle Pfeiffer's character, by the way, nothing wrong with the actors. The actors are talented. Were they given the best opportunity to show their talent with the writing? No, they were not. Now, Janet herself, she was in the quantum realm for 30 years. Apparently, she met Kang, helped him because he's like a stranded time traveler. Apparently, she touched his ship because it's like a Neuralink ship. Apparently, Elon Musk made his ship, or maybe he, whatever, his idea. This is a future Tesla spaceship, apparently. And she touches it, realizes that he was conquering a whole bunch of worlds, and she goes, rather than me go back home, because he promised her, hey, if you help me fix my ship, I'll let you, I'll get you home. She's like, I'm going to destroy your core with some leftover, like, Hank Pym tech, and I'm gonna just stay in here, because I'd rather stay in here trapped with you rather than let you go free and possibly destroy a whole bunch of universes. That's the big thing, right? Her knowing that knowledge, when they got her out in the second film, for some reason she felt like it wasn't a good idea to probably share this with Ant-Man and her daughter Hope and everybody else, right? Because he tells her that there's other Kangs out there that exiled him, that are worse than he is, that also have the ability to travel realms and destroy them. But apparently Hope has been asking her things about it, and she's been very quiet and hush-hush about it. And Cassie Lang, Scott Lang's daughter, who somehow is a social activist and genius, not sure where she found the time to learn those things. She's been using the Pym particles to shrink police cars, because obviously, even in this world, they're evil for whatever reason, right? While she's doing that, getting arrested, they've given her a suit so she can do this type of stuff on the side. They do not tell Scott. When I mean Hope and Hank, and I believe Janet also helped Cassie get this suit and use these particles. Don't tell him. That's probably a big thing, seeing as that's how it's his daughter. You should probably tell him if you're going to be putting her life in danger, possibly, right? But, you know, who cares about that type of stuff? She's a hero. She's fighting for justice, especially the social kind. Now, she builds some type of machine that can help get into the quantum realm. And Janet is obviously like, no, we shouldn't be tampering with that. Hope is like, you should have been telling us about it anyway. The machine malfunctions, brings them into the quantum realm, and Janet is forced to pretty much reveal a whole bunch of information she didn't want to reveal that she should have revealed about Kang. And apparently there's this whole world in the quantum realm, which is like a really badly imagined Star Wars movie where all these people have like a resistance against Kang, because even though he doesn't have a ship and all that, he got his suit back, and his suit allowed him to be able to create this entire technologically advanced world where he's able to oppress everyone, but apparently couldn't find a way to get this core back. He needed Ant-Man to go do that. They needed Scott Lang to come down there and do that, even though he didn't know really anything about him until, okay, it was stupid. I'm even me like saying it out loud, like it's really, really dumb. They had a telepath in the movie that was interrogating them with questions rather than reading their mind like a telepath should be doing. Weird, right? You can just read their mind while you ask them questions. Kind of similar to what Professor X did in the Doctor Strange movie, where he's like, they're like, we don't think they're telling the truth. Why don't you read their mind to figure out if they're telling the truth? That's a power of yours. Or did you forget? So, going back to this Janet thing, who is clearly the star of this movie, it's not Ant-Man or even the Wasp. It really isn't. It's really Janet. And a little bit of Cassie Lang as well, or I forgot the actress's name, but Cassie Lang, she's in there too, who is just written like every other rude, stupid teenager that you see in a drama. Even she says this really dumb line in there where the people who are like leading the rebellion against Kang, they're explaining, they're going, you know, we have to stop them, blah, blah, blah. And Scott is like, you know what? This is not for us. This is not our fight. And she said this line like, just because it's not happening to you doesn't mean it's not happening. It didn't even go with the situation. He didn't say it wasn't happening. He's just saying, we gotta mind our fucking business. That's literally what he was saying. But we know where that line comes from. We know that that's like one of those things where they're trying to use real life stuff and use it here, but just wasn't successful, right? So whatever. Now, Kang. Let's talk about that. I think Jonathan Majors is an excellent actor, but I don't think he should have been used for Kang, because number one, we know how Kang looks in the comics. If not, take a look. He's not only blue, he takes his helmet off, we know who he is, and we know he's a descendant of Reed Richards, who doesn't look like that. Could Jonathan Majors and his great acting skills, and he has a great look, could that have been used for several characters who happen to already be black and be awesome and perhaps never made it on live action yet? I think so, but you know, that'd be too creative and that be letting an original black character stand on their own, which apparently is not something that we want to do. Everybody just cheers for the sloppy seconds. But that's neither here nor there. What am I saying? It's always there. It's always there, right? But this was very strange because it just felt very jarring. And I realized this is not really an Ant-Man movie. This is really just to lead into the Loki season 2 thing, because at the end of the movie, they have a post-credit scene that leads directly into season 2 of Loki. That was clearly the entire point of this movie. And this is supposed to open up the larger phase 5, but I'm like, this movie just seemed largely pointless. Nobody really died. Kang, when he gets defeated, I don't know if he died or just got defeated, because obviously he was saying somewhere in the movie, hey, I got exiled, but if you don't let me go, the other Kang, which are worse than me, are going to come and destroy the universe, or they could. So, you know, now I guess we're going to be dealing with that whenever the next Avengers movie comes out. And you see him as Rama Tut, you see him as Immortus, and it looks so weird, and it's like his acting was so like cartoonish. It was so weird, I gotta say. And they even have this weird scene where Jan is meeting up with this guy who I guess she used to mess with, and she's kind of like talking about how they used to mess around in front of Hank. So pretty much him being a cuck, which is really weird. There were so many things that happened in this movie that I didn't understand, especially because it's called Ant-Man and the Wasp, and neither one of them were really in the front. Specifically Ant-Man, and I guess that's kind of been happening the entire time. He's just a side character in his own movie. And mind you, when I first saw Cassie in the end of Phase 3 in Endgame, I was like, okay, cool. The Young Avengers are starting to take place. But now, fast forward to now, I'm like, oh God, this is not going to be good. What the hell are they going to do? Especially after She-Hulk and especially after Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm like, oh, they're not going to do this right. And it's going to be heavy-handed, and it's going to be about a whole bunch of stuff that might not be about even saving the world. That's what I get when I see these movies. And even the general audience that was in the movies with me, they were just like, this sucks. They cheered for the post-credit scene. They were more interested in that Loki connection than they were the movie. That's a fail. They were not interested in what was happening in the movie. And why should they? There were no consequences. It didn't really make any sense. The characters' motivations didn't really make much sense. So why should they be invested? And this is not only this movie. There's a lot, like, come on, Wakanda Forever, was that really a strong showing? The Disney Plus shows, they have less and less viewership. This is just a symptom of a very large problem, which I'm probably going to go over in a whole other video, to be honest, about where this is heading and can they fix this. But as for me, the only other movie that's worse than this is probably The Eternals. And I'll say that because The Eternals, if you don't watch it, it literally changes nothing. And I think this movie is kind of in that. The problem is that they are probably going to mention parts of this movie in future movies, which is bad because this movie quite literally accomplished nothing. Literally. So you wasted a lot of good actors, you wasted a lot of the audience's time, and you tried to make a plot that was rather nonsensical, and you wanted characters to feel super important by just being there, rather than them doing something that actually affected the rest of the universe. Whatever. All right. So let me know. Did you like Ant-Man and the Wasp? Quantumania? Are you looking forward to more of the MCU? Did you like the Ant-Man trilogy? Let me know. Let's talk about it. We can have a detailed conversation. But hey, you're wrong. I love it all. Or hey, yeah, this sucks. Either way, let's have a conversation in the comments. Like and subscribe if you want. And to the nerd.